Have you ever randomly met really cool people and wished you could get to know them better? That's it. That's the show. Welcome to season 2 of I Am Not Prepared podcast.
Wow, I was not prepared for I Am Not Prepared podcast.
Good morning. How the hell are you? How are you?
I survived the storm of 24.
Already, week 1, huh?
No, I mean I'm all right. It was a busy week. Last week I had this had a workshop with Oneida Middle School in Schenectady. And it was like a new thing because I never did this thing before, but there was an art teacher at Oneida Middle School that saw some of my work, and she was just like, "Oh, it would be awesome if you can come in and do a workshop with my kids. I think they would really like gravitate towards you." And I was like, "I don't know. I don't think I'm really a good role model, but okay." So I did. So I did it. It was like a 4-day workshop, and I taught like basic sketching and painting, like fundamentals. And it was like the kids were like loving it, man. Like she was taking video of me. I didn't even know she was taking video of me. She was taking video of me during the class, and she just posted something yesterday, I think. With all like video clips of me teaching, and I didn't like it's weird because I was just like, oh, these kids are awesome. Like they're so well behaved, and like I was surprised, like, well, this is easy. But then the teacher afterward pulled me out and she was like, so and so's never done work before. Or like this kid is like, he's just always all over the place. And I'm like so shocked that he sat there and just watched you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I was like, one of the best ones in the class was that kid. So I don't know. I guess I got like this knack for like good kids. You know what I mean? That they just seem to gravitate towards me. But that was fun. I did that this week. That was like a whole day thing. It was like I was there from like 7 a.m. to like 3:30. So for like 4 days straight. And that was good. It was kept me busy. I think that I might just do it again. Who knows?
Why do you think you're not a good role model?
I guess because I'm not like the cookie cutter, like, what I don't know. I don't know, because I party. Because I'm a kooky artist. I'm up to like 3 in the morning. It's hard for me to get up in the mornings. It's like, yeah, you see me. I was supposed to be here at 10 a.m.
I wasn't gonna say anything. I was not gonna say anything, and the first thing I thought was, he's an artist, so you gotta give him, I swear to you.
I don't know. I like you see me. I text you at like 8, right? I don't remember. Like I was like, okay, I'm gonna be prepared this time. I'm gonna be on time. And my brain, you know what it is? It's that artists is their brains are just like we're like constantly going. Like even right now, I'm talking to you, but then I'm thinking about things that I gotta do today, and then things I gotta do tomorrow, and it's like it just constant go, go, go. It's never just I don't know how to turn it off. It just keeps going. It's crazy.
But there's a new restaurant that opened on James, and I was like, and we were in the group chat, the neighborhood association, and all of its members were in the group chat talking about this restaurant, and I couldn't pinpoint where the restaurant was in my mind, and they're like, oh, it's just around the corner from my apartment. I said, oh, by Oscar's mural. Why didn't you use that as a landmark? So
Yeah.
I thought about you yesterday when I went to go pick up food, because it's such a, I don't know, it's such an interesting statement. That piece, please remind me the name of that mural.
So you're talking about the one in front of Tricentennial Park?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, that one's called Closure. I did that right over COVID. COVID was just letting out, and Albany Center Gallery reached out to me, and they're like, "We got this really ugly wall right up the street from the gallery. We know the owner. He wants to do something. He just doesn't know what. Have at it." And I was like, "I can do anything." So it was like I love those projects. I feel like I'm gravitating more towards because I get a lot of offers, but it's like, oh, can you do this? I need some butterflies or I need some flowers, and it's I'm like, I'll get back to you. And I usually don't. But when people are like, here, do what you do, I feel like that's my best work. So that one was called Closure, and it was just basically an expression of how I was feeling at the moment. Like I wanted to show the world like how I was feeling. Like right after COVID, I had this weird suffocation feeling, and like subconsciously, I think I looked at that space like it was like if you notice it, there's like these beams that chop the image up, and they look like bars almost, like a prison bar. So it's just being locked up, being suffocated. But then I had this like tree growing in the background because I was like, I felt like a glimpse of hope still, right? Like this new rebirth, something new was gonna happen, maybe. Just trying to stay positive. So like the white tree is almost symbolic of like a spirit of something that's gonna grow out of this, hopefully. That was the thing. So it's just basically what my emotions look like at the moment. What do they look like? And yeah, that's what it was. That's what it manifested into.
But I wanted to make sure that I also sort of addressed in terms of public art, the honor, the accolade of the Troy Art Block, which you
Oh,
were
right.
you're a participant in. What was that experience like?
That was pretty fun actually. Same type of deal. Like, hey, we got this wall. I was like, do I have any restrictions? Like, and they're like, no, just don't draw a big, you know, whatever, what I mean? Don't draw anything inappropriate. And I'm like, oh no, I wouldn't do it. Well, I probably would, but I was like, no, I'm not gonna do anything inappropriate. But like, it was cool. There wasn't any restrictions. They didn't even ask me for a draft or anything. They were just like, go at it. And I'm like, oh. So I was like, how do I make a statement? Because I feel like public art has a platform that not a lot of people get. So it's like, whoa, this is my perfect opportunity to like make a real huge statement. And so that's why I chose the Richie Rich piece, because it's like, the money inequality that's happening right now. Well, not just now, but it's been happening, and that people keep talking about, but it's not really being addressed. Um, and so this was like, oh, this is a perfect opportunity. So I showed like the Richie Rich slicing up the planet, and getting like slices of money out of the planet. And then I put like these little iconic things like bread, cheese, butter, and it was just like talking about money, you know what I mean? And I don't know. I feel like those pieces kind of like it's either hit or miss with the public. Like the public was either like, "Oh, that's genius," or it's like, it's Richie Rich," and they keep moving, but that it was a really fun experience. Yeah, and the fact that we won #1 art festival in the country is pretty freaking cool. USA Today posting plastering that everywhere. Between me and you though, I didn't see too much promotion on my mural. I think maybe because, like a lot of my stuff is political, and it's usually safer to show pretty stuff that's not political, which doesn't bother me. I'm used to it, you know what I mean? I just hope people go down and see it. And I think they will now with this whole, contest that we won. So as long as they get to see it, and I got my message across and I got paid. So that was good. And I hope it opens up to more opportunities. But the people that put it together were super supportive. They anything I needed, they were just like right there. What do you need? You need this, you need that. And I'm like, no, I got everything. I'm good. But yeah, they provided ladders. They even like for like lunch, because we were there for like 3 days. And they'd bring by food. The building itself is owned by Mikasa, the restaurant. It was a Dominican restaurant there, and I got to meet the owner. And them being Latinos and me being like a Latino artist, it was like kind of serendipitous, I guess. So they came out, brought me food, and it was just like really cool. It really made me like Troy even more than I already do. And I'm like, I would really love to live out there. I know that there's like a bunch of spaces out there, like old buildings and stuff. I mean, if anybody hears this and has an old building, that they're trying to figure out what to do with. Uh, I'm looking for a studio space. So please keep me in mind. I will hook it up. I will. I'm really handy. You know, I do woodwork. I do welding also. Because I don't know. You didn't ask me, but I did. I got a master's degree in fine arts from Tufts University. I got a scholarship to go. In that I learned studio art. So different disciplines. I did, video art, welding, woodwork, painting, like just multidisciplinary. And I actually worked, they hired me at the School Museum of Fine Arts in Boston, and I worked there for about 2 years, monitoring the welding room and the woodworking room. So I got to work with undergrads and put together shows, and so I'm really like handy. Plus, my father, I come from a construction background. My father was an electrician, electrical engineer. Every summer he'd bring me to all the construction sites, so I'm pretty handy. So like I have like this obsessive secret dream of just like acquiring an old building one day and just turning it into an art space of some sort, like a live workspace for artists. That's just like one of those like millions of dreams I have, I guess. Hopefully that will come to fruition one day. But yeah, but that experience was really cool. I really loved it. I didn't even know what was going on. I think it was Belinda. She works with them. She reached out and was like, "Why didn't you apply for this? Like, we put a calling."
Oh, that
And
is
I'm like,
awesome.
I was like, "Whoops." I was like, "Can I still do it?" And she's like, "Yeah, we thought of you. We have a wall for you." And I'm like, "Oh, great, perfect. Let's go." So I gotta get better at that. I gotta get better at this. You know what I mean? Having a system of applying for all these different callings, because there's so many, and there's like a lot of nationwide ones too, and worldwide callings. So I've been like really trying to like hit these worldwide, nationwide ones, and I almost keep forgetting about the local ones. But I'm just so glad they reached out and was able to do it. So
What an honor to be tapped. I mean, I don't know how you come across as a pretty confident, self-aware person, but I know that in a lot of different industries and disciplines, imposter syndrome really exists,
yeah, yeah. Oh,
right?
I deal with that all the time. I feel because we live in a different time, right? When I grew up in the '80s, and being an artist was not cool, right? You were that quiet kid in the room, always in the corner. Nobody really talked to you. You're always drawing. Like it was like a nerdy thing to be an artist when I was growing up. You know what I mean? So in the back of my mind, I still deal with those demons that, I had to fight my way to even get respected, and now it's like everywhere you look, everybody, I'm an artist, I'm an artist, I'm an artist. I'm like, what? Really? Like, how did that happen? You were just a basketball player yesterday. Oh, but yeah, but anybody could be an artist. I'm like, I guess,
Ill conception or perception of what an artist is historically been a layabout for whatever reason. Maybe an addict, maybe someone who doesn't want to work a quote unquote real job, like all of these things. And I came here and got involved in the community as much as possible and met you guys. And I'm like, holy shit, these people are way more educated than I am. Not that I ever put myself above or below a person, but the conception or the perception that artists are layabout, if
Mhm.
they are, they're highly educated. The ones here,
Right. No, I
I'm
think,
like, I'm blown away. I mean, there's fellows here, like all kinds of,
yeah,
MBAs. And I'm
yeah,
like, you guys are awesome. Like, who thought artists were trash? Like,
yeah.
no.
No, there's a historical concept, like perception of artists that, yeah, they're just smoking weed, getting drunk all day, they sleep all day. But like, no, you have to be an extreme survivor to be an artist because you're not making a consistent check. You have to learn how to, man, I've scrubbed toilets. Like whatever I had to do to get that monthly rent paid, I had done it. You know what I mean? I've installed wiring. I've like you know, I've done whatever it took. So it kind of forces you to educate yourself in different things. And most successful artists, you ask them, they are multidisciplinary. They will do whatever it takes, and they do. You know, so we are very roundabout, and so like for like the industry, right? I think the industries, like major corporations, are really discovering this like now, that creatives are important to have on their team, because we are just we think outside the box. We don't do things like the same way, cookie cutter way. We're always trying to find new innovative ways to get things done. And so now if you look, the corporations are hiring creatives, like, are you a creative? Just show your portfolio, and they'll hire. And it could be just weird industries too, like, like the plastic industries or something, and they're hiring all these artists just to be on the team, just to get some of their feedback. So yeah, artists are I think they're very intelligent, and highly educated, and just very experienced in life, because they deal with struggles. It's just part of the game.
I think the last time we talked, we talked about art and money, right?
Yeah,
Or
yeah, yeah.
especially with some of as it pertains to your project, some of the themes behind your project, let's say Richie Rich, that sort of thing. And, Alex was of the mind that he would rather have a W-2 job so that his art doesn't have to support him.
Right.
And I understand that, just being in my seat, I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Then I had a musician, vocalist, Ryan Leddick on, and he did in a formal life what I do in terms of like corporate America, or like the grind, like
Mm-hmm.
I'm in, and he chose to leave it because he knew he was on the right path. Like, he knew in his soul it was the right thing to do, is leave that desk behind and the environment as well. So I had two different artists, two different disciplines, have two different thoughts on how to support themselves while creating art. How do you feel about it?
So I did the corporate world thing for years. I have a degree and stuff. Like, my undergrad was in business management of the arts. So I did some business management, and I worked for a lot of nonprofits. Um, it's still somehow tied in with the arts. So I feel like it's possible to do the W-2 thing and still be an artist. And I think in depending on the artist, sometimes that helps, because when your art is motivated by pay the rent, I feel like it loses some authenticity. And now you're just pumping out products to try to like make a profit, right? As opposed to being like authentic to yourself. Um, so the reason why I don't like the W-2 world is because I feel like it would exhaust me. Unless it's like something within the arts, like maybe working for a gallery or something. Uh, I feel like I take a project, and I'm 100% in that project. I don't know how to spread myself across the board. Like, if I got a corporate job right now, that's all I'd be doing. You probably wouldn't see me anymore. Like, it just my mind just works that way. It's like, oh, I gotta focus on this. This is all I gotta do. I gotta please my boss. I gotta get that paycheck. And so that's why I don't do it. So I can hone that energy into my own thing. But I still have to do some sort of like work, in the corporate world. I mean, I work at SUNY as an adjunct, and like I teach art history and drawing, and like this thing called freshman seminar for all the freshmen coming in, which basically it's just teaching them about college life and getting them ready. But so I do that, but I can do that because I mean it's 3 days a week for an hour a day, like minimal time, and then maybe a couple hours of planning. And it's still around the arts, so it's still kind of like stimulating my creative process. I think it's possible. I think it's hard, but for me personally, it's hard to balance both. Um, but at the end of the day, you just, you got to survive. So whatever it takes for you to survive, you got to do it. You know, there's no way around it. And it sucks because I feel like, especially when I talk to the young people, they see me or they see other artists that are just doing it full time, and they're like, "Oh, that's such a glamorous life. Oh, you know, it's like you're living in a movie." And I'm like, "No, like if you really no, if you saw me day to day and stuff I gotta do just to make it through the day, you would be like, oh hell no. I'm gonna stick to learning computer programming or whatever." You know what I mean? Like, it's not easy. It's not glamorous. I think it's just people see us at the events and they're like, "Oh, that's just amazing. You got the best life." And it's, bro, I literally just finished cleaning somebody's bathroom yesterday, and now I'm here in a suit, you know, at this art gala that, you know, $300 tickets to come to this thing, but it was donated. Like, if you see me at a gala, it's because someone gave me the ticket. I'm not paying no $300,000 whatever for a gala. You know, I'll support the arts, but I mean, I can't do it. Like, you know, so yeah, don't believe everything you see. You know, it's a lot of, it's like that iceberg thing, right? You only see the tip, but underneath, yeah, it's a struggle. Like, I've lost relationships. Like, I was married, you know, with two. I lost, you know, because it was just like, oh no, you're just so focused on your arts. That's, you know, it's so like relationships was hard. Family was just like, what the heck is wrong with you? You got a freaking master's degree. You're over here struggling. But it's just, you know, I've lost a lot of friendships. It's a lonely life. It's very lonely. um but it's weird because you're always in the social eye, so it doesn't seem like a lonely life, but every day, you know, it's not the same thing. You know, it's just it's a struggle every day, so it's not a glamorous life. Like, I have a 6-year-old son, and I'm like, don't be an artist. Like, I'm like, you like computers, all right, yeah, that's a good thing, yeah, get some AI, get some technical stuff in there, you know. And he's like really into computers and stuff like that. So I still, you know, try to make him draw and create art with him. I have a daughter that's 5 years old, and she's all about art. She's like drawing all the time, and she's really good at it. So I'm kind of like cringing because I'm like, oh crap, I think she's got the bug. She's gonna end up being an artist. But, you know, hopefully she learns from my mistakes, and, you know, and really you know, becomes a successful one, you know, because it's anybody could be an artist, but not anybody could be a successful artist.
It's really difficult to tie money to success, and that is throughout the world, throughout, and no matter what your discipline or industry is, using money as a benchmark for success. Just Aunt Autumn is here to say, try not to do that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? The type of work that I do, or the company that I work for, I knew a long time ago I was never gonna get rich doing what I do with my W-2 gig. And as I closed in on 40 and thereafter, I'll be 47 this year. Feel 27, knees are 67. But I, you know, using money, using accolades, accomplishments, being published, validation, using external validation and or money to dictate how successful we are is so detrimental. We live in a highly capitalist society here in the United States. So everything we do subconsciously, a lot of what we do is driven around money. And so the ironic thing, to me, about art and money is it can't, how I feel inside looking at a piece of work or a collection of works cannot be quantified or even validated in that way. How I feel about your work really shouldn't validate you doing your work. I happen to enjoy it. So it's the illusion. I think sometimes it's easy for one to fall under the illusion of acceptance through external validation, and then adding money as a necessary force in life that dictates our next steps so many times. It's really hard. I think it's hard to, for me in my mind, it's like using two halves of my brain at the same time. I think it literally is. I don't know the
Yeah.
science behind art, right? That's why it's so hard for me to quantify. I mean, yes, I pay for art, I purchase art, I enjoy art. But what it took for that to arrive on these walls, I don't really know. I mean, I can ask, of course, especially Alex, he'd tell me, this is Alex Waters' words.
Yeah.
Um,
Good collection, by the way. It's really nice the way you got it set up.
um, I'm calling this Seasons. Alex, if you ever see this, I'm calling this collection Seasons. I'll go on to that later. But,
Nice.
I just, you know, and so I guess from that point of view, I find it fascinating, you know, like I said, we talk person to person and we talk real when we chat, which is one of the reasons why I wanted you to do this, is it's the accessibility is to the nth degree. I know you're not pretending, at least I don't get, my radar doesn't go off when I talk to you about insincerity or
Right,
inauthenticity.
right, right.
Um,
Yeah, I think that's important as an artist. You have to be authentic. Like I always tell people, like especially like kids that I work with and stuff, like the world is full of cool people, right? What it's lacking is authentic people. Everybody wants to be cool, right? But it's easy to be cool. You know what I mean? It's not what's hard. The hardest thing is being authentic. You know,
right?
being your genuine self, not trying to be someone else or appear to be someone else. And I live. That's like my motto. Like, just try to be as authentic as possible, as transparent as possible. You know, just be real. Like, I don't know, 80s, 90s. You know, it was a thing. Remember, like you gotta be real, keep it real. Like, you know, it was always a thing. And I don't know if maybe it got lost in translation, and everybody's just trying to imitate others. Like, oh, this person's doing it. Let me do what this person's doing, or this person's, you know, and you see them just bouncing around. They're like a ping pong. You know, one day they're this, one day they're that. It's like, just be you, you know, be yourself. And I
It's
think money comes actually if you find that balance where you can be yourself authentically. People all of a sudden look at you and they're like, wow, that's refreshing. Let me look at that. And then all of a sudden the money comes. And it's just this weird thing. It's almost like you got to find this perfect balance of being yourself and chasing the money, but like not chasing the money and being yourself. Like it's just this really narrow line that you have to kind of balance. And you can see it in the real successful artists. They are super authentic. They are super themselves, right? These are they have no F's given, basically, right? Like they will create whatever they that just comes to mind. You know, like I got a piece right now in Beacon, New York, at this event called Back to School Gallery. This artist named Ron English, really famous artist. His work is super in your face, like super political. He's really famous for this green baby he started making that was like really buff. It was like really jacked baby, and like and he makes a bunch of lot of like political art, and it's just very in your face, very like some borderline offensive. But you talk to the guy, he just walks around like you know, he's just like, whatever. You know, it's just super authentic. He's not trying to impress anybody, you know, and he's super successful. This guy is like, I mean, if he's a millionaire, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, you know, there's people from Japan buying his stuff. There's companies literally buying his designs to create toys and sculptures with it. It's like, but he sold himself like at the gallery. He was rocking like his own jacket that he made. You know what I mean? It wasn't, you know, it wasn't like he was like trying to be fancy or anything. It was just, and that's what I strive for. Like I know that if I could tap into who I am, just be myself and just put it out there, like this is who I am, like, you know, the money will come.
that's what I'm talking about when I talk about being true to myself, is allowing the channel to be open to for change. So grasping on to security, emotional and psychological security within my person, and then being willing to take in new information and new feelings. that's amazing. That's what art does. Like, that's what art does. And in my mind, I'm like, why are more people, or why are people afraid to go into art space or thinking that they don't belong in art spaces? Because it's like it's the Disneyland for the emotions and for the psyche.
Oh, I like what you said, because what one thing I think that people either forget or don't realize is that everybody has different tastes,
Yes.
right? And so you don't have, that's the beauty about art. You don't have to look a certain way, or, oh, like I talk to a lot of artists, and they, oh, this so and so inspires me. And so when you look at their work, kind of looks similar to that artist. Um, but people all have different tastes. Like, you can just be yourself, and not everybody's gonna like it, but then there's gonna be that one that will like it, because they just, that's their taste, so don't be afraid to just be yourself. Like, and if you're not selling right away, it just means that you haven't been in front of that audience yet, the audience that likes your stuff. That's it. And it's okay. And I think that's another thing. People are afraid to say, I don't like it. Like, like, why people are so afraid to say, like, I don't like something. I'm like, what, since when was that? Because I feel like we say it all the time, right? If we go to a restaurant and we're like, yeah, what the hell is this crap? We're quick to tell them, hey, I need something new. But for some reason, we go to an art gallery and they're like, oh, we can't say that this looks pretty trashy. Like, this looks like you just did it last night. Like, I don't know. This doesn't get it. Why we should be saying, in the thing. I remember when I was going to college, to art school, everybody had to take critique. There was like a class. There was a critic. A critic would come in, and Tufts University was in a very Ivy League school, so they hired some New York City art critic, very well known. I'm not gonna say his name just in case, but he would come in and he'd be like, "This is shit. That's okay. I could live with that." And like making grown men cry, right? Like, they were just like, I spent my whole life doing this, and what do you mean it's shit? And then they're like, well, it's not gonna sell, I'll tell you that right now. Like, and it's like, man, I loved that, right? Because then it would like motivate me, like, okay, I gotta get back in my studio and really be more in touch with myself, be more authentic. Like, maybe I'm not authentic enough. And it made me like really take a double take. And I think nowadays it's like we're coddling people. Like, we're just like, it's okay, it's beautiful work. Like that, I always hear the same like description when people look at new work. They're just, oh, this is so beautiful. Oh, it's so interesting. Like, those two words is just everywhere I go. Like, come on, everybody can't be beautiful and interesting. This is no way. It's impossible. Like, so who's lying here? But yeah, like, it's okay if people say they don't like my work. I want them. Actually, I want to hear that, because then I want to know, well, what moves you? What motivates you? Like, what, you know what I mean? Because I'm curious. Like, this lets me know, like, okay, who my audience is. But if everybody was just like, oh, it's beautiful, oh, I'll be like, okay, I'm just gonna keep making it then, even though they're lying to me. It's gonna. So my message is, be honest with an artist. Like, don't be afraid. And if the artist gets offended, well, oh well. Like, it's like that cook, that I'm sorry, that steak was not done well. Sorry. You're a great person, but I need something else. If we can do it for a restaurant, and we're buying that thing, or a product, right? You buy a product and it doesn't work, you're gonna bring it back. Like, this is crap product. Like,
I'm gonna bring my art back. Never mind.
well, you should have bought it in the first place. You know what I mean? Stop being so humble and nice. Like, you should have just been like, nah, it's not for me. And that's cool. Like, I we need more of that, I think.
That's a really interesting inside take, for lack of a better phrase. And I'm not gonna chime in because I am not a part. I'm just not.
But you're an audience. You're an audience, and you're obviously a connoisseur of art because you have a collection, and that's what you gravitate to. That's what you like, right? That's that style of art. That abstract. I see that you're really into abstract art. So I mean, if that's what you like, that's what you like. No one can tell you otherwise, and no one should make you feel some sort of way just because you don't like something that you don't like, right? It
Oh,
just
I would love for someone to say my art is trash. I would love for, or the art that I have in my home is trash. That would be a fun day for them.
oh, damn.
I'm like, no, I, I don't, I've never considered it, that the reason why I'm not gonna to chime in on that is I've never considered it that way. I always see, if I'm not moved by it, maybe someone else will be, which probably feeds the argument that you're making, about continuing to go along those paths. But if I look at it, in my big girl life, it's, well, if it's not selling, then it's not speaking to people enough.
And the thing is, there's like tiers, I guess, in the art world. Like, you have your local art, and then you have like your internationally known artists, like the high-end artists, right? Like, and honestly, I strive to be on that higher end. Like, I really want to be a high-end artist. Like, I want to be internationally known, which is why I'm out there answering callings from like international callings, national. Plus I'm international myself, being born in Honduras, in Central America. Like, I have a really like a passion for my Latin culture. And I think that I should be using my gift to talk about issues that we deal with, that are currently happening, immigration being one of them, and stuff like that. But there's different levels to this thing. And for anybody that wants to get into this world, I suggest like they really like do the research, really look at some artists that have made it and what they've done, their contributions to the world, like who they are as people. It's not just, hey, I gotta make pretty things, or I'm just gonna make paintings of rappers, or you know what I mean? Like, art is huge. It's historically huge. This has been around since prehistoric times, right? It's just so big. And you gotta invest a little bit of time in researching some of the galleries. How did the galleries even come about? Like, you think of MoMA and stuff like that. Like, people just like, oh, it's another art gallery. There's a whole history of how that even started, like the Guggenheim, stuff like that. Like, there's a whole history of artists that literally were starving artists, like that whole term starving artists didn't just come out of nowhere. Like, there were artists literally living in the street, homeless, but they were making art. Jean-Michel Basquiat, very popular now in the contemporary world. But if you know his story, this guy was homeless. Like, he was a heroin addict. Like, he was going through so much. Like, his history, his story, and then the artists he connected with to actually make it. Like Andy Warhol, like his story, like, it's get out there and really know the world you're getting into. I know right now it's a fad and everybody wants to be an artist. Everybody wants to be creative, but it's like, it's been here. It's been here for a while, and you might just be discovering it now, and you think, oh, I could do this. And you might be able to, but pay homage to some of the people that have paved the way for it to be so accessible and accepted nowadays.
I'm curious, just to switch gears a little bit, I'm curious what you would consider your biggest win and your biggest loss as an artist. Two separate.
So my biggest win, I think I still haven't gotten it yet. I'm working my way up to my biggest win. So I feel like I don't think I'm ever gonna have like the biggest win, because I feel like if that ever happened, then like where do I go from there? Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? It's just like, I think I I used to think that like I got a project in Schenectady that was like a $35,000 project, right? And it was just like, whoa, this is my biggest win. But then after I got it done, I was like, no, I could do something bigger, right? I could get even a bigger building. I could do something even more budget, like. So I don't think I have a biggest win yet. Um, even in my personal life, like, when I first had my kids, that was my biggest win. But then I had another one. It's like, wait, which one's my biggest win? Like maybe both are my biggest. I don't know, but I'm definitely. I feel like I'm done with that part of life, though. I'm not. Yeah, that's it. I'm done with that. You know what I mean? But I can say I have a lot of like bad experiences, like my like rock bottoms. I have a lot of rock bottoms that I, for some reason, I can remember very easily. Um, and there's been times where I've literally been homeless. Like I was homeless in I was when I was in Boston right before I went back to school. I was like literally sleeping in a park in Lawrence, Massachusetts, and I slept in a park. I don't know, must have been at least 3 months, and then finally somebody noticed me. There was a church, actually, there was a church in front of that park, and somebody that went to that church was like seeing this guy. And I'm in my like 20s at the time, and the guy just pulls me aside and is like, "What? You don't look like you belong here. Like you don't look like you're supposed to be homeless." And he kind of brought me into the church, and he was like, "I'm a deacon here. I had, and I have an extra room in my apartment. You can stay with me." And so they kind of brought me in. That I feel like that was like when I think about my lowest time in life, it was that. And it was I ran away from home when I was like 16. I didn't really get along with my family. I didn't really get along with institutions. I got kicked out of high school in ninth grade. It was a crazy incident that happened that was a complete accident. But one of the teachers got punched in the nose accidentally. So that was a weird situation. That was really, I think that was the start of like me taking the rough road. Because then I just kind of lost hope in institutions, and I was just like, you guys don't understand me. And then my parents were just not very happy with me. So I just at 16, I saved up enough money and bought my first hoopty, cheap little
Nice.
Nissan Stanza stick, and I just like,
Ah, I
yeah.
remember the stanza. I'm sorry.
Oh, did you have one?
Yes.
Oh man, I live by Nissan has been my go-to. Like Nissan, you could pee in the gas tank and that thing would still keep going. Like I loved my Nissan. I slept in it. I had a pet pit bull, and he'd sleep in the back. Sometimes I forget to take him out, and so he went in the back. Like it was, yeah, it was pretty rough. But
Sorry.
yeah. But that was, yeah, so I have a lot of like setbacks. I feel like I don't know if looking back now, I don't know if they were setbacks, but more like lessons. But they were definitely rock bottoms. Um, so yeah, I mean, I'm at the point now in my life where it's like, come at me, world. Like I've seen it all, like just about. Let me not toot my horn. Let me knock on wood. I don't want to see any more bad stuff, but I've seen a lot of bad stuff. I've seen, out in the hood, just being in the hood in the 90s, early 2000s was rough. I was bouncing around from city to city. And I feel like at this point, like I've been to like a lot of different hoods, and they all pretty much have the same recipe, poverty, lack of education, racism, like they all have the same formula pretty much. Um, and so I feel like going through those rock bottoms kind of like taught me about life, uh, and what's really important. Eventually that deacon guy that I was staying with, he was like, "Man, you should go to college or something. You go back to school. Like you're still young, you can't be giving up." And he helped me actually register for my undergrad. Um, and it was in this town called South Lancaster, Massachusetts. It's right next to Worcester. So it was a private school, and that's where I did my business management of arts degree. And after that, I got the scholarship at Tufts, so I just kept going up from there. And I fell in love with education all of a sudden. A kid that got kicked out of high school at ninth grade, all of a sudden I'm like, yo, education is vital. Like we need this. This is like food. Without this, like where are we gonna go? Like, so the stuff I learned, the people I learned in higher ed has basically inspired me to be in higher ed now. That like if I do get a 9 to 5, it'll probably be it'll be in higher ed. It would definitely be in higher ed. It's just, I think it's just so vital, and it breaks my heart that this country knows that, but yet makes it so unaccessible, right? Like every other country in the world, like they'll have free higher ed education for their citizens, and I think it's just that we live in this corporate America. Everything has to be a money maker, and it's kind of messed up because it's really, you're starting to see the effects of that now. People have lost faith in education. You're not, they're just dropping numbers of enrollment, and we just, St. Rose just closed down. SUNY is talking about they might have a deficit coming up. So it's just like there's this like lack of faith in education, but I think it's not the education per se, but the structure of it, right? Like, well, if you didn't make it so damn expensive, right? If you didn't charge us $200,000 just to get information that we need to progress as a society, like we need to change that. And I think, artists and educators that have been in that world that know, they should be speaking up. They should be trying to make the change. We should be trying to make the changes, and try to make education accessible. I was so happy. I think, I don't know when it was. It was a few years back. I just moved to Schenectady. It was this, so it must have been like 5 or 6 years ago. But SUNY had put out this thing where they were going to give free undergrad degrees to residents of New York residents. And
Wow.
it's like, yes, like finally, like, but then that was the last time I heard of it. I don't know if they're still doing it or what happened. You know what I mean? So, but we need to make some changes with higher ed and education in general. And now with this whole YouTube world, right? Everybody's saying, oh, I want to just be a YouTuber and become a millionaire. Yeah, well, good luck. You got a better chance getting hit by lightning twice. It's like, it's not that easy. You need the education. Without education, we're gonna be screwed. Because we're seeing all these other countries that they're so advanced. These kids are like taking trigonometry at third grade. You know what I mean? And what the heck is gonna happen to us when we're over here just concerned about my latest Jordans? And then we got kids over there that, you know what I mean? It's scary to think what the future holds for us. Um,
There's so much apathy. I mean, even not being a typical college age person, there's a lot of apathy because education is a business, right? So we forget, it's easy to forget. I love what you're bringing to this conversation because I dropped out. I couldn't
oh
afford.
yeah,
I dropped out in 1996. I went to a state school. Within 2 semesters, I realized I can't afford this, so I disengaged.
yeah.
And now look at these conversations behind student loan debt. You know what I mean? I just was like, I can't do this. And it was a state school. It was not that much. I swear to God, it was not that much money at the end of the 90s.
Yeah.
But what's scary, like you say, the progress. I thank you for injecting that in the conversation about the importance of higher education for the progress and continuation of us as Americans, but us as a species, so that we can continue to innovate. We need knowledge to be able to draw upon so that we can add our own slant to it and make things better for next
Right.
generations.
Right. There's only so much you can learn on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's like, I don't need college. I research it. I'll go to the library. I'm like, yeah, well, good luck with that. You know what I mean? Because you're basically gonna try to. I mean, people don't understand. Like these degrees have been engineered by educators, and some of these degrees took years and years to create. Get the right information, structure it in a certain way. Like it wasn't just like, oh, here's some books. Read it. Like this took a lot of work, to you pick the degree. It took a lot of work to structure that thing. It's not just like, oh, I'm just going to read a couple of books. And no, and plus the environment, right? The environment itself, it's an incubator. Like these campuses are incubators for higher intellect. And that if we get rid of those, like where the hell are we going to where are we going to come together to create to solve issues, right, in society? Like, think about historically, right? Like Vietnam War. Who were the people that were like making the greatest protests and greatest changes? It were college students. You know, there was college students out there. Even in these other countries, if you think of like South Korea and stuff like that, like it was college students that they got the knowledge, they because they're taking, I don't know, political science or whatever, and they're starting to learn what's happening in the other worlds or other countries and what's happening in government, and they're like, wait a minute, this is wrong because we just learned this in school, but we got to change this. Like higher ed is desperately needed, and we need to make it accessible for all. If we want to solve a lot of the problems that we're having, we need to like arm all our youth with the education to be able to come up with solutions. Otherwise, who's going to come up with a solution? You know, it's not going to fix itself. And I feel like our youngest generation right now, they're just sitting back and like, they got it, they'll figure it out. Like, no, we need you. Like, we need you to figure it out. Because yeah, it's tough. But that, I mean, I'm a huge supporter of education, even though, you know, I was a dropout and everything, and I eventually just learned the value of it and said, whatever, if I got to work 3 jobs on campus, I got to do it. And I did it. You know, it was tough, you know, and I mean, I got a scholarship at Tufts, but it was a partial scholarship. And if anybody knows Tufts University in Boston, it's super expensive. So even with my partial scholarship, I still walked away with like, I don't know, $170,000 worth of debt on student loans. So it's just like, yeah. And luckily, I've been working with nonprofits, and I've been working in schools and public schools and in the county. So I started doing like that loan forgiveness process. So hopefully that pans out. But it's scary to think of what's going to happen in the next few years if we keep this trajectory of just like, education is not that important. You know, it's pretty scary.
I think you're doing exactly what you need to do, because we all need champions. Every aspect of society needs someone to say, hey, I exist. And I think one of the major detriments as people, as Americans, we have right now is kind of what you said earlier, is critique, and I'm going to add dissent. It's very hard to discuss dissent these days. I know I've shut the F down. I will, because when I talk about energy, I don't have the energy to convince anybody of anything very much these days. I mean, it's waning for me. But passion ignites and excites me. So when I respond to people's energy. That's probably another reason why I don't like bad energy around me. But when I come across people who are energetic and impassioned about something, that makes me, it wakes up my senses, it wakes up my emotions and my psyche. That's why I say we need to keep, if you are passionate, put that out, put that out into the world, because there are people who are consuming you, and their hearts and minds are being touched by you, like you're being imprinted in a way, not to be super dramatic, but like, it takes some person to person, this one-on-one stuff. For me, conversations like this are what help shape not only the rest of my 24 hours, but it's like, it goes into a file that I can pull out and say, hey, remember that conversation we talked about this with Oscar? So now I have a different perspective and I have a different point of view, or maybe don't blow that completely off, because maybe there is some change that can be made, because maybe there's a group of impassioned people who are ready to make those changes, or at least be a part of the conversation to get into some action. So yeah, I had no idea I was going to be thinking about college.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and it's funny because what we're doing right now is exactly what I was doing in college, right? It's
Yeah.
just people gathering from different walks of life, having conversations and building off of each other, learning off of each other. You know, what I mean? It's crucial for society. I mean, it's not like weird to think, because I mean, we look at like some of the biggest societies in history, like Rome, right, and Greece, and education was a fundamental thing in their society. It was so important. And teachers, professors were put on these pedestals like they were important for
Yes.
society. And we need to go back to that. Like, you know what I mean? We treat our teachers like crap in this country. We pay them crap, right? We look at, oh, you're a teacher. Oh, wow. Okay. Like, you know, it's just like, it's not a prestigious job, and it should be. Like, these people are molded. We're molding the future. Like, but yeah, I think that the art world needs to kind of like put its 2 cents in with these type of situations and these type of issues that we deal with as society, because that the art world, that's what it's for. It's to express what's going on. It's just to express our current events, you know. And like the reason why, like, I teach art history, and one of the reason why we know a lot of the history is because we've taken artifacts, right? We've taken these pieces of art that have survived, and we've analyzed them, and we said, oh, this is how society was at this period of time, right? We need that education, that history, you know, and art is just intertwined with that. There's no way, like, you can't remove history from art. They're intertwined. And so that, for me, art is more, it's more crucial to a society than I think our society realizes. Um, and so, yeah, I guess I'll just leave it with that.
What do you, what are you working on?
Um,
What do you want folks to know about?
right now, what I'm working on is I'm at SCCC in Schenectady. Spring semester is about to start. Teaching art history. And they're working, well, I'm helping them work on creating an art department over there. They just acquired the old YMCA building across the street, and they want to turn it into a gallery and art room, art classes there and whatnot, not just for students, but like for the community. So that's what I'm working on right now. Support your local community colleges. They're always throwing events, and soon there's going to be like gallery shows at Schenectady. And they have really good art professors over there. So that's what I'm working on, that. And then just applying for callings, applying for grants. I have kind of like a public art piece that I need to create before March through a grant that I received with the Troy Art Center. And I'm kind of working on that right now. I have to tie that in with some high school students. But I want to do something different. I want to work with lights, with like electricity. And so like yeah, there's an alleyway in J Street in Schenectady, and then it intersects another smaller alley that's very dark. And I want to like create like a temporary light installation in that dark alley with local Schenectady students. So that's what I'm working on, that, the SCCC thing, and just trying to get that next wall. And oh, and if anybody has a space, please hit me up. I need a space to create. That'd be awesome. But yeah, a lot of things. Working on a lot of things.
That's an amazing list. It's nice to stay busy, especially around your passion. Keep going from one step to the next. There's always something to do, and I admire you for continuing to pursue. It takes a lot of wherewithal to keep driving, and keep making our inner and outer world a little bit bigger, a little bit deeper, a little bit more vibrant. So I wish you the best of luck in 24, and I'll keep my ear to the street for real estate for you.
Yeah. I don't care how run down it is. I'll make it beautiful.
I try to end these episodes or conversations on 3 questions. And they can be one word, they can be many words, whatever you want to do, but they're all innocuous. And it's just a fun little insight. Okay, so the first question of 3 is, do you prefer sunrise or sunset?
Ooh. I prefer sunrise, but I suck at waking up in the morning. So I settle with sunsets.
Do you have a favorite sitcom or comfort show?
I do. Wow, I actually have a lot. I have a lot, and they're usually like sitcoms from the 80s. But the one that stands out right now is Elf. I don't know if you remember Elf. It was like this alien that came to this like really nerdy white American family. Um, but he was just so nonchalant. He was just like said whatever he wanted to say. He didn't really care. And his favorite dish was cats. And like that family had a cat. And it was just hilarious because the whole sitcom, he's like chasing the cat around trying to eat it. Yeah, Elf.
Okay, and finally, if you were a Care Bear, what picture would be on your belly? What would be your Care Bear stare?
What? Are you serious?
I'm as serious as a Care Bear.
Nobody's ever asked me that. That's the craziest question I think I've ever had. If I was a Care Bear, what picture'd be on my belly? Damn, you're gonna hate me for this. I probably put like a weed leaf on it.
I don't hate you.
Just
I don't hate you.
I don't know. I feel like that's because I think about my favorite Care Bear was the one with the four-leaf clover. And I always thought, wow, that'd be cool if it was just like a weed leaf. I don't know. But that's what would be on there.
I suffer from alcoholism when I drink. I'm always going to be an alcoholic, but today I don't have a problem with alcohol because I haven't drank today. The thing is that nothing exceeds like excess, right? Didn't Tony Montana say that in Scarface? Or actually, I think it was LV. I think it was LV who said nothing at the club. Anyway, you know you're old when you're quoting Scarface.
Come on, that's an epic movie. That's iconic.
Like,
yo, you're on a different level of cool now. Now that you quoted from Scarface, I look at you completely different now. Thank you for that. Scarface was awesome, even though they picked a white guy to play a Latin dude, but it's okay. You know what I mean? It was an iconic movie. I love that movie. Sorry, a lot of life.
I probably look like the biggest square. It's probably, you guys did not see me in my heyday when I was drinking and using. I was way different.
You were the party, huh? The party didn't start unless you showed up.
You know,
we can't start. Autumn's not here yet. We can't start.
I've lived about 3 lifetimes, and so I'm straight, right? I'm good. But yeah, that's why I say in having the benefit of our experience, it gives me it feels like giving grace to others. Honestly, it's a concerted effort sometimes to give grace to others, but then I remember that it's a gift to even be here. It's a gift to have this conversation. It's a gift to this beautiful apartment, the snow outside. When I look at where I've been and hopefully where I'm going, it helps me to stay present and realize there's a great deal of gratitude to be had if I just appreciate the people, places, and things around me and choose to see them in a different light. And that's really part of the podcast too. That's the purpose of this segment of the podcast, is to take and amplify some people. We have literally just been talking the same way we would be talking if we were in person and I saw you at a thing. This is the exact same stuff. And I just really wanted to highlight, I always want to highlight some of who I consider local heroes, not just because of the work they do, but for how they and you make me feel inside. It's like, I can appreciate life a little bit more because Oscar exists. And that's the point. That's the point. So thank you for being here, or virtually. Thank you for being here today. It's been so lovely. Thank you, Oscar.
Oh, thank you. I love having conversations with intellectual people, because I feel like that's how I learn and grow. You've given me perspectives too. So, and I think more people need to remember about, let's just conversate. Let's just have a conversation, right? let's put the texting aside just for a little bit. Like, let's do a one-on-one, even though this is virtual, but it's still like, let's have a face-to-face. Let's get to know someone that you probably don't agree with, but get to know them, right? There might be something you do agree with. Who knows? Like I think we lost touch of that. And I really appreciate this opportunity. This was really fun. And I hope this podcast blows up. Like you need to be out there. You know what I mean? So good
It's,
luck.
without passion, life is a lot more dull, and it virality, money, none of that really matters when I get down to the nut cutting. The way I view life is, if I passed away today, how was it? How was today?
Mm,
Today's already been great, just
yeah.
because you appeared in my laptop today.
Likewise, likewise.
I'll shoot you a text after, but I'm gonna go ahead and close.
Okay.
And I look forward to seeing you out. I look forward to being out more in 24, taking this content and bringing it outdoors a little bit more. So I'm out of my head, and being literally in the community more. And I really hope to see you again very soon.
Yeah, man. Let's get some mocktails.
Ah, it's dry January.
Hey. All right. Thank you so much again. Appreciate you.
Bye, Oscar. I'll see you soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye.